white cord, you should be fine. But we're recording live. We're on live right now. Actually, not on live. We're about to record it. Are you ready? No pressure.
I really don't need that stuff. Other than that, I thought that was how long ago? All right, pressure's on.
Jack, you gotta be on top of this thing. It's a good focus on my kids as grandparents. Out of state and watching it. I don't know. I told them.
privilege to welcome you to this annual spring concert. It's a great way for us to celebrate the season and celebrate as we near the end of the school year and unfortunately this year, thanks to the weather, the last few days at least, celebrate spring. It's also an opportunity for us to have another celebration tonight. We'd like to celebrate 22 years of dedicated service to the Ministry of Rockford Lutheran Music Program on behalf of Mr. Steve Wolfram. A number of students came forward and asked there was a certain way that they could celebrate that and honor that. And so tonight's offering will be dedicated to Mr. Wolfram in honor of his many years of service to our ministry here. The groups have some very specific percussion needs that they are in need of replacing and providing and so on. And so it is an opportunity for us to gather a collection in the offering tonight, or if you'd like to contribute later on, you can certainly send something to the office just designated in Mr. Wolfram's honor. Then that'll be used for some equipment here that will be suitably plaqued and decorated and dedicated and so on. And it'll kind of be a unique way that Mr. Wolfram will be able to continue to have an impact on the music ministry of Rockford Lutheran for many years to come. So thank you again, Mr. Wolfram, for those 4 years. Please join me as we begin with prayer. Heavenly Father, we do give you thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight to celebrate the gift of music, to celebrate the gifts of the students and the many blessings they are to us, and the gifts that you've empowered and blessed them with. We also thank you tonight especially for Mr. Wolfram and the many years of ministry here, the many lives that he's touched, the people he's impacted, and the many opportunities we've had to enjoy and celebrate the sounds of the seasons and share the blessed music that you've gifted him with as well. We ask that you'll continue to be with him and bless him as he goes on to other avenues, and continue to enable him to share the gift of music with others and be a part of the furtherance of your kingdom in a special way. And now tonight, God, we give you thanks for this opportunity we have to share and to celebrate and enjoy the many ways that you bless each of us. In your name, amen.
Welcome. This is our annual Pops concert where we do all sorts of contemporary music, tunes that a lot of people know. I think the band is taking on the more past sort of pops. We're doing that song was Alexander's Ragtime Band from the 1920s. Next next selection is from the 1940s, and then we have a Sousa March after that. So we're the early part of last century, but that's okay. We get caught up to the rest to this century for pretty much the rest of the evening. So we've just got some older pieces to do for you. Our next selection is called In the Miller Mood. It's a number of songs by the Miller Band. When they first got this, I think some of them almost passed out because it looks so long. Jacob, show us your music, would you? And it's been quite a challenge to get through this song. This is probably the most challenging thing that these guys have played this year. But I think that they've been working, I know that they've been working really hard, and hopefully it will step up to the challenge tonight. So this is 6 or 7 songs. It's called In the Miller Mood. Relax, it's going to be a little while, as you saw from that, but hopefully there'll be a lot of songs that maybe you've heard in the past. Before we go on, I'd like to, before we go restaurant, I'd like to introduce a very special group of people. It's our seniors. Most of them have been with me for 4 years. We have one foreign exchange student that's a senior, so he only has 1 year. But the other ones have been here for 4 years, and they're all just leaders in the band. Every last one you can see is sitting either first or second chair, sitting right toward the top of the section. So I'd just like the seniors to stand so you can recognize them, please. Strong believer in every concert needs to have a march. So here's our Sousa March. It's King Cotton. my job as a music teacher is to teach new songs, new things that they've never heard before to the students. Well, the Madrigals did this in reverse, because we're doing a couple songs that I was not familiar with. Before we did it, they said, hey, there's a Bruno Mars collection, let's do that. So we pulled it out and said, okay, let's read it and see if it sounds good or not, because sometimes they don't sound so good. It's like, yeah, this one sounds pretty good. And then they said, oh, there's this song, it's called, what's it? It's called Some Nights. It sounds really, really good. And it's like, well, I've never heard of it, but that means nothing. So they said, let's see if we can find it. And we found a really cool arrangement of it. So we're going to do two songs that are familiar to the students. I don't know how familiar they are to some of us that have been around a little bit longer, but they're pretty cool songs to listen to. So the first one is a Bruno Mars medley, and the second one is Some Nights. enjoy music like the one we just did, I'd like to invite you to come back and visit us during the school day this Tuesday. Sometime, I'm sorry I don't have the exact time, I would guess between 9 and 10 o'clock. The University of Illinois has a 12-man a cappella group called the Extension Chords. They are going to come and sing for our choir, our band orchestra, on the Tuesday the 14th, probably between 9 and 10 o'clock. I know the band and choir students have seen them on YouTube because we played it for them, and they are actually very excited to have this one come. So feel free to come visit us during that day. Just stop in the office, pick up a visitor badge, and come on downstairs and enjoy that. That'll be this Tuesday morning from 9 to 10.
going from queen to the current queen. This is Lady Gaga. time, Mr. Wolfram and myself would like to take a moment and recognize our graduating seniors. And what we would like to do is have our seniors stand, and could we also have their parents and family who are here stand with them? All right, so here we go. Print's kind of small, and I'm at this stage. All right, first of all, here we go. If it's out here, I'm good. Bianca Alonso. Zane Anderson. Julie Buzzard. Allison Kentrop. Demery Dye. Aaron Galen. Zula Arab. Chris Gessner. Rachel Gustafson. Spencer Gustafson. Abigail Harris. Ian Hogshead. Jason Hu. Jason Kareskas. Evan Poole. Bailey Peck. Nick Prabhakar. Jacob Robinson. Ethan Salzman. Crystal Sankey. Ryan Washington. And last but not least, Will Ward. Thank you so much, seniors, for everything that you have done. Your many years in the music program. It's been such a pleasure to work with you, and of course we wish you the best as you move on. At this time, I would like to have the orchestra seniors step forward, please. Down right there. As our seniors move on from the orchestra, we want to give them some little mementos so that they don't forget their years in the music program at Rockford Lutheran. First of all, I'd like to start with Demery Dye. For Demery, I want you to know we bought her a mani-pedi kit because Demery's concerned with the high price of having your nails done in the area, so we've got a do-it-yourself kit for her to take to college. This next gift needs a display first. This is for Rachel Gustafson. Rachel spent a lot of time on crutches and had to work to get around a lot of obstacles. So Rachel, we got you some practice cones, so in the future, you can practice if you ever have to use crutches again. We have a wand maker, but she doesn't have a wand like this. So for Crystal Samke, this is the Magic Barbie wand with ribbon. For our very organized student who always keeps everything well in line, Zula Garrett, we have a dry erase board for you to take notes on. Thank you cards, because you are the type of person who would make sure you got these filled out. And now for the case of water. I don't think a day has gone by that Chris Gessner has not brought refreshments to my class. So I'm going to make sure he has some to take to school with him, too. Almost got you all. Last but not least, for Ian. Ian likes to play games. He really likes soccer. So I got you something that's not quite like soccer, but when you and Chris are leaning against the wall and you have nothing else to do, we got you this neat ball and scoop kit. It is called the Jumbo Catch Ball Game. Now there's one more senior that we need to come up here that isn't present. Mr. Wolfgram, will you please stand up? This is going to be fun. Okay, now, when I first came to Lutheran, I was really shocked when I walked into the music office because there was a color there that I did not expect to be present, especially at Rockford Lutheran. So, I need to explain something to you, Mr. Wolfgram. You are a resident of Illinois. This is Illinois. Wisconsin makes the cheese. Illinois makes pumpkins. Hence the color orange. Illini, Chicago Bears. I am sending this with you. Many things from Mr. Wolfgram. The first thing I learned is don't be tardy for the party, ever. His motto is, if you're not on the bus, it's leaving without you. So, as you move on, I want you to know we got your recording of Don't Be Tardy for the Party, and you can play this for any future students so they get the message. Mr. Wolfgram, pretty laid-back, casual guy. Usually doesn't take anything too quickly, unless you're at Disney World. And then see if you can beat him to the ride. Very fast movie. So I have learned that from him at Disney. Get the fast pass quickly. I also know as he moves on that he's probably going to need some entertainment for his children. We have some swords and other play materials in our office. As they go on, they're going to need something to play with. So, I got hockey sticks. smells like Pop-Tarts every single morning. So, got your supply that you can move with. Here's the Pop-Tart box. And you guys are laughing. Who eats the Pop-Tarts? Uh-huh. Yeah. Now, after the Pop-Tarts, we have to clean it up. So, I have for you a bottle of Goo Gone. And I do know that you have a favorite food. Cheesecake. And I asked students for quotes, and they have 2 quotes that they think that you need to carry with you. The first one is excellent. And the other one is questions. Mr. Wolfram, all fun aside, you are truly a fine musician, a really wonderful teacher who really cares about his students, and a very great colleague and friend, and it has just been a pleasure to work with you and have you at Rockford Lutheran. Before we turn it over to the choir, we have one more piece for you. This is from Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. we have a transition to make, and while we are doing that, the donation baskets will come your way. As Mr. Quartz mentioned, the donations tonight are going to go for a dedication in Mr. Wolfram's name for the music department. And while the baskets are coming by, Matthew Quartz has written a piece for Mr. Quartz, and he will be, for Mr. Wolfram. Matthew Quartz wrote a piece for Mr. Wolfram, and he's going to be playing that for you.
Did I sit up here? Right now? Before Matthew starts his piece, I want to say a big thank you to the Rockford Lutheran Booster Club. They graciously gave us money so that we can have backdrops for all of our concerts. The backdrops are ordered and slowly coming in. The very first one you can see is on the back of our room there, and we're eventually going to have backdrops for each of our concerts. So that's very nice, so we really, really appreciate it. And I'm going to turn it over to Matt.
When I thought about Mr. Wolfram and the way that he's blessed the school with his talents and with his abilities, I really thought of a person who put himself and his life in front of the students and the kids that he taught. And I think that's really special because you don't often see teachers who are willing to do that for their students. So when I thought of what I could do to thank him in a way, I thought to write this song. And it's called The Words of Speechlessness. got time to say the words I want to say, the words you need to hear. I just want to say the words you should have heard so long ago. I want to say the words that are coming to mind. You'll know just what you meant to us. 'Cause these are the words. And the future's so unclear. Tell me, how can I possibly go on from here? What else can I do? And tell you how much we will miss you. 'Cause these are the words. The words I want to say, the words you need to hear. These are the words. The words you should have heard so long ago. These are the words that are coming. Those words that still are coming. I want to say the words that are coming to mind.
Our song and dance this year for the choir is music from Disney plays. Some of the songs you know, most of the songs you know. There are a couple of plays that maybe you're not as familiar with. I know Aida is one of the ones that's in here, so there's a couple of songs from Aida that's in here. There's a song from Little Mermaid that you're not familiar with unless you've seen the play. If you've seen the movie, it's not in it. It's a really cool song. I think the second batch. So this will be Disney plays.
Before we start, however, Manager Goals came together and found some things that we're going to stroll from above because he's really been there for us. Because on Mondays we have our homerooms and he's our homeroom teacher, so we have a really good relationship. So we have a gift card to the Cheesecake Factory. That's good.
everyone special in their own way. We make each other strong. We make each other strong. We're not the same. We're different in a good way. Together's where we belong. We're all in this together. Once we know that we are, we're all stars, and we see that we're all in this together. And it shows when we stand hand in hand, make our dreams come true. Everybody now, all together, all together, everyone, all together, together. Come on, let's have some fun. All together, with everyone, each other, every time. All together, all together. Come on, let's do this. One, two, step a step in time. One, we step a step in time. And you're easy, and you're right. Watch me step a step in time. Please a step in time. Please a step in time. And you're easy, and you're right. Please a step in time. Childhood's a step in time. Everyone's the same. Never miss a chance to get it right. Don't seem a perfect crime. Don't seem a shame. When the steps are going as smooth as a night. That's we step in time. That's we step in time. That's we step in time. You're almost step in time. You're almost step in time. Every reason that you're on. You're almost step in time. You're almost step in time. Please a step in time. Please a step in time. Every reason that you're on. Please a step in time. Oh, step in time. Step in time. Step, step, step in time. Step in time. Step, step, step. Every reason that you're on. Your knees up, your knees up, link your elbows, step. In your guest, on your shoulder. It's
When my wife and I were discussing this, excuse me. When my wife and I were discussing this, I told her the things that I missed the most were my students. Just a great bunch of kids I've had the opportunity to work with. I guess after 22 years I should expect this because I'm getting old, but I'm discovering more and more that I'm having kids of students that I had before. I'm getting second generation students, and it's I know I got a couple of those here, alumni from the 90s that I taught way back when I first got here, and now they have kids here, and it's just wonderful to see their kids and to see them again, and just to work with all the students that I have. They're a great bunch of students. I really appreciate the support, all the hard work they've done for the last 22 years. As I said, I told my wife I'll miss my colleagues, and I will miss my students the most. That's the hardest thing about me. But I certainly thank you all, parents, definitely the students, for all the support, all the hard work, and all that over the last 22 years. And I wish you nothing but the best in the next however many years. Thank you.